Today on Closing the Distance, hog tips for bow hunters. We have several nighttime hog hunts to share with you. Doc Spike, he's going to take us on a few hunts in Texas. We're going to go over to Louisiana with Wade, Britt, and Chris Friday. We have nighttime hunts over there. Brother Mark's back with us again. It's a full show with a lot of great tips. Let's get started.
Closing the Distance is brought to you by Ozonics, undetectable, undeniable. Hunter Safety System, dedicated to saving hunters' lives. Executioner Broadhead, born to kill. Treason, don't just blend, become. And by Citadel, revolutionary shoot-down shape. Today, we're chasing hogs in Texas and Louisiana. Several hunts plus valuable information is on the way. Closing the Distance will be right back. Get a head start on your next trophy buck. Order stand placement advanced techniques today at Closing the Distance. Closing the Distance is made possible by Tree Limb Quivers. There's only one tree limb quiver. Sword sights, sharp solutions in aiming. Elusive Wildlife Technologies, taking the elusive out of wildlife. The Stage Deer Attractant. Finally, a synthetic scent that works. Matthews Archery. And by the amazing Luminaut. Can your arrow not do this?
Today on Closing the Distance, it's hog tips for bow hunters. And hogs, it's a problem here in the South, but it's a fun problem. It's a fun thing to do right after deer season. It's a fun thing to do the early part of spring. But in the summertime, hogs get extremely nocturnal, but you can hunt them at night. We're going to show you some really cool nighttime products that you can use for bow hunters. But when you're thinking about hogs, some of the tips is you got to go to the cover. In the South, they love the pine plantations. Anytime there's water next to these pine plantations, next to these thickets, hogs will be there. And a lot of times, if you just set up there on them, I mean, even you can get some of that late afternoon action if you got a bait pile going, if you got a corn feeder going. It doesn't necessarily have to be nighttime to air some of these hogs. With hogs especially, you're having to make sure you got your setups right. You got to make sure you got your access right. And you're really relying on game cameras because hogs, they're all over the place. Sometimes you'll have a group that comes in that's right at dark, and you may have other groups that kind of meander through the night. So if you're really aggressive on your hog hunting, you're constantly checking cameras. Let's check in with Doc Spike at 2 Point Plantation. Doc Spike's he's gonna show us one of his favorite hog setups.
Hey, I want to show you one of my favorite hog setups here at 2 Point Plantation. I got a ladder over here. I use it to climb up to get in a lock-on stand. I've situated the feeder where it's south of me. Here in East Texas, we mostly have a southeast wind throughout the year. So I use this stand and I look at a feeder. I sit behind the tree so it kind of hides me. This is where I shot my last hog. They usually come from the south, which is another good reason I got my stand set up the way it is. We got a hog wall right through about a couple hundred yards, and then there's a creek over here about another 300 yards. So they usually come from this area, and I use the wind in my favor. I use ozonics. I mean, the other evening's hunt was exciting. I got up in my stand, and I wasn't here 30 minutes, and we had a boar come in behind us. He walked in, and he stopped and he just stood there for a while and he left. I think he was just cruising the area. And it wasn't long after that, about 30 minutes later, I heard the brush moving down here to the left, and I could see them funneling in, and they just come in, about 9 of them, and started eating the corn. So I got the bow, and they didn't even know I was there. I had it just set up perfect to where it was the perfect ambush. So I'm looking forward to this place. This is going to be one where I'll kill a lot of hogs.
After the break, another hunt with Doc Spike. Later on, we're in Louisiana. More hunts under the kill lights when we return. Don't go on your next hunt without knowing why you might miss. Get your free copy of Shot Placement 101 today. Details at closingthedistance.com. Closing the Distance is brought to you by Ozonics, undetectable, undeniable. Hunter Safety System, dedicated to saving hunters' lives. Executioner broadheads, born to kill. Treason, don't just blend, become. And by Citadel, revolutionary shoot-down shape.
Several weeks ago, I started putting some pig oil on this tree by Elusive Wildlife. That stuff is crazy good. It's got an attractant in it that the hogs come to. It's a smell that they just can't resist. But we had a camera on this tree, and we got some good pictures here. So that's another way you can monitor what hogs you have in the area, is by putting out something like this on the tree, and put a camera on it where you can kind of check it periodically.
If you're going to bow hunt hogs at nighttime, well, it's pretty simple. You have to be able to see. Elusive Wildlife, they've got that issue taken care of. They've got the kill light, and the kill light, it's really simple. It's motion activated. It just goes underneath the feeder. They also have a product called the blind sider, and the blind sider is basically the same thing as a kill light, but you can put it on a tree, you can put it on a fence post, you can put it on a T-post. It straps on just the same thing as your trail camera would. It's another awesome motion activated light. Bowhunters, the Piglet is an awesome product that you turn on to let you see. They have probably another half a dozen light products, whether you're a gun hunter or bow hunter, that you can use to light up that area. The good thing about Elusive Wildlife, if you're not sure what nighttime product that you need, just call their office and explain to them your setup that you have, whether you're a gun hunter or bow hunter, and they can recommend some products that'll help you be successful.
Okay, folks, I just shot a nice hog. He was pretty good size, looked like a boar. I was going to wait till he got under the lights, but I just couldn't. It was too tempting. He wasn't quite under the light. But it looked like I got a good quartering away shot on him. I'm going to come back in the morning and look for that hog. I don't think he went very far, but it's just dark out here tonight. And, I like coming back in the morning. That's a big hog. I don't know if I can do anything with him. He's so big, but I'll come back in the morning and see what I can find.
Well, folks, here he is. Didn't take me long to find him. I waited till the next morning and come out here and got him. Made a good quartering away shot. I just want to thank our sponsors, Ozonics. I mean, he didn't even smell me. Hunter safety, I could climb the tree at night and not feel safe, sitting up in the dark. Luminoc, I could see my arrow at night. Executioner broadheads, man, them things are awesome. The last two hogs I shot, I mean, they didn't go 30 yards, either one of them. So anyway, I got out this morning. It didn't take me long to find him. Nice 2-point plantation hog.
Most of all of Texas, it's a hog-rich environment. But right now, let's head over to Louisiana. Let's check in with Pro Staffer Wade Britt. Louisiana has some different regulations if you're going to hunt at nighttime. Let's check in with Wade.
Well, hey, it's mid-January and closer to the end of January, and it's still deer season here in Louisiana, but I've given up and I've turned my attention to pigs. So we've got an Elusive Wildlife Technology pig hunt going on tonight. Now, it is January, and these hunts in January at night do require a permit from the Louisiana Department of Wildlife Fisheries. It's a nuisance or an outlaw quadruped permit, and I do have that in my hand, and I do have my notification number, what they give you whenever you call in and say, hey, I'm doing a hunt tonight to take out some of these pigs. So I'm waiting on old Chris to get here. The old bayou over here, it's backed up pretty close to me. I'm sitting on his food plot and his corn feeder, and I've got my kill lights ready to go. I've got my piglet on my bow. Should be a good night. We just need some pigs to come in.
So 2016 was a rough year for me as far as deer hunting goes. I'm gonna tell you what, this was probably about the first year in a long time that I wasn't able to pull back on a whitetail. So whenever it came time to get after these pigs, I'm gonna tell you what, I was chomping at the bit and I couldn't wait. So the first thing I had to do was put my blind sider up, and I didn't have any natural structure to hang that blind sider on. So what I did was I went in there and I put some T-post out to be able to direct that light where I needed it to be for my kill. And well, the evening finally come, and I'm gonna tell you what, the first thing that showed up was a deer. And you know, you would think that these deer would be affected by these lights that we're putting underneath these feeders, but they wasn't. So deer got out of there, and old Chris, he come in. Him and old Buckshot had been at a fishing tournament that day. And Chris finally made it. And pigs finally come in. At night, it's a lot different than hunting in the daytime, because really you're going off of your hearing, off of sound. So we're sitting there and we hear these pigs starting to come in, and I'm gonna tell you what, that old blood's pumping, because as I told you, I didn't have a very good season this year as far as deer hunting goes. So this is my first opportunity to be able to pull back on something. Well, these pigs come in, and I'm gonna tell you, me and old Chris, we got a little bit greedy. I told old Chris, I said, reach over there and grab your Matthews. We're gonna double up on these things. Well, we got greedy, and they kind of busted us before we were able to pull back on them. Pigs headed out, waited there a couple more hours, had to go home for the night. So the next weekend, what we did, we come in, we had the wind. It was just awful for that setup.
It's a little bit unseasonably hot here for tonight. We do have the ozonics running in the ground blind. Now they've got a nice little attachment that allows you to hook it up in your ground blind so that thing's running. Even though the wind's coming at us, we're still dependent upon that cover scent that ozonics is giving us. So we got probably, based on the camera, we probably got about 30 minutes, 45 minutes before the pigs come in. So we're gonna sit back, get quiet, and wait for the action to happen.
And so we were running our ozonics in these ground blinds, and as the sun went down, it didn't take long for these pigs to show up, and I think they were the same two pigs that we had messed with the last weekend. Well, this time they were not prepared for us, and with it being such a bad year for me for whitetail season, I was really glad to see these pigs show up, and whenever they did, I'm gonna tell you what, I just about outran my cameraman.
Hey, what an awesome night we had hunting underneath these EWT products. Hey guys, in the off season, even during the season, these things are great to hunt out of. These pigs are getting out of control. We're never going to be able to get them under control, but I'll tell you what, we can put a hurting on them, and me and old Chris, we did it tonight. He spent 2 weekends out here with me. This is the 3rd weekend, and we had 2 of them come out, and I'm telling you, I was throwing Luminox at them.
Coming up, we're still in Louisiana. Nighttime hunting tips and more action after the break. Get a head start on your next trophy buck. Order stand placement advanced techniques today at Closing the Distance. Closing the Distance is made possible by Tree Limb Quivers. There's only one tree limb quiver. Sword sights, sharp solutions in aiming. Elusive Wildlife Technologies, taking the elusive out of wildlife. The Stage Deer Attractant, finally, a synthetic scent that works. Matthews Archery. And by the amazing Luminox. Can your arrow not do this?
Well, you know, it took us a little while to get weight to kill and everything, but from then we transitioned on to another place. One thing that we found was important is you got to have a couple of places ready to go, because what we found this year is once you kill on one of your hog sets, well, it's kind of no man's land for the next several weeks. So if you want to continue to hunt week in and week out, you got to have multiple sets set up. Guys, a couple of things that we make sure and do is we try to maintain 100% tie off at all times. So if you notice, we've got 2 slides with the prusik knot in it and 2 bales to make sure that we're quiet coming up. Camera guy always slides up on the top one. He'll get tied off up top. The second guy, the shooter, comes up with the second bale. If you notice though, there's something a little different here. We've got one carabiner right here that's hooked in, and it's got me hooked to the prusik knot, but I've also got an extra carabiner here as well. And the reason that extra carabiner's here is if I want to go on ahead and tie my lanyard off so that I can cinch myself up a little bit tighter, Well, all I have to do is come in, go around my tree wherever I want it to go around at, and get my lineman's lanyard snug off to the tree. And then what I can do is I can take this carabiner without ever unhooking from here, snap off, go on ahead, get tied in, come over here, roll this one out, unsnap this one, and I'm tied off to where I've got a little more flexibility. I can move around a little more. I can customize this a little bit more so than I can the lifeline. Again, we done that, and the whole time we were 100% tied off, so that if something would have give way or we would have slipped or fell or whatever the case may be, this safety system is going to serve its purpose, and we're going to be able to get home to see the wife and kids at night when it's all over with. On this particular hunt, all through the night, we had game moving, had pigs in the area, had a few deer come through, had one scenario that's pretty unique. We had I guess there's an old female and a bunch of pigs. She bedded up in a top behind us, and for, man, I'm going to guess 5 or 6 hours straight, she sat back there and snored. And, well, if you hadn't ever sit in a stand waiting on a pig to show up, listening to a pig behind you snore in a treetop, it's about like watching paint dry. It was a long 5 or 6 hours, but we was able to make it through that. Lo and behold, we stuck with it, and we were going to give it another hour, but we were hunting on a Saturday night, and I had to get out of the stand at some point in time before daylight so I could be at church that Sunday morning. And wouldn't you know it, we were just about to the point where we were going to get down, and we heard some pigs come in. Man, this has been a long journey. I've told you guys before, we underestimated the intelligence of the feral swine. These animals are smart. They've known we're here. When we've been in here, we've hunted them hard. But thank the good Lord, we finally got one down, and we're going to continue to pound on them and everything. A couple of things that made our hunt successful were these kill lights. We've run 2 of these kill lights on the feeder tonight and everything. We've been running the blindsider some. We had the piglet on our Matthews bow, the big cut off that executioner broadhead. We've had a lot of things that helped us be successful tonight. Well, you know, being the newest team members with Mr. Matt and closing the distance, this is a lot of this is new to us. We're just now getting familiar with a lot of the systems and a lot of the things that it takes to be a success. One of the things, though, that we found, especially with hunting these pigs at night, is you have got to be attentive to safety. And the hunter safety system is a part of that we use each and every time that we're in a tree stand. As a matter of fact, you know, you realize the benefit of it, but actually seeing the benefit of it is a completely different thing. And when you're sitting in a stand from, I'm going to say 6 o'clock in the evening until, on one hunt, we hunted from 6 o'clock in the evening until 5 o'clock the next morning before we were able to get a kill shot off. You know, that's tough on the average individual, but then when you take into consideration that we had been out on the lake fishing a tournament on that Saturday and went straight from the lake to the woods, well, it's easy to nod off. As a matter of fact, my camera guy Wade, he nodded off several times, but one of the things we done as a precautionary measure is we shortened up that lifeline so that it held you mighty tight to that tree. I can remember listening to him snore in the background there, catching him a few Z's while I was kind of listening with my ears, and you would hear him kind of slip, you know, and move forward and everything. And before he moved very far forward, that lanyard would catch him and kind of hold him tight. So if you're going to do this kind of hunting at night and everything, and you're going to do it from an elevated position, do not bypass using a lifeline and using that hunter safety system lanyard.
On today's show, we're talking about hogs, and if you hunt in the South at all, you've encountered hogs, and maybe you've even had hog problems on your property. I know that I have, and ultimately hogs are a good thing, right? They're fun to hunt and they're good to eat, but anything good that's left unchecked will eventually become a bad thing, and it's also true in life. I've learned a principle in my life, at 44 years of age, and I wish I'd have learned it a lot earlier, but that's this. Good things become bad things when they keep us from the best things. There's nothing wrong with hunting. There's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with having a successful business and giving yourself to an endeavor. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. But if they go left unchecked, good things become bad things when they keep us from the best things. The best things in life are not things at all. They're our family. They're close friends. A relationship with God. These are the things in our life that ultimately really are the best things. And really, when you read the scriptures, you'll find out that this is what God wants for our lives more than anything, because He knows that it will be those things that fulfill us, satisfy our hearts, and give us peace that passes all understanding. And I pray that you would know that truth today. If you'd like to know more about a personal relationship with God through His Son, Jesus Christ, just go to closingthedistance.com and click on the Moment of Truth tab.
Want more from Closing the Distance? Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram.